Welcome back, family. We are doing the last minute best ball draft for the MLB season. The season's approaching this week, so your dad is back to be able to draft some teams, give you some last minute pointers, last minute sleepers. A lot of things have gone on this past weekend with transaction, with people being sent to the minors and guys being kept on the opening day roster. So your dad is going to go through it all. But we are definitely right here in a slugfest, right into it, and we are on the second pick. So Aaron Judge goes, so we'll take Shohei Ohtani, and let's get this draft started. So hop on in here if you are drafting this weekend, which most of you might be for your fantasy drafts, whether you're doing best ball, which the last minute, some tournaments are still open on DraftKings and Underdog for best ball, but also if you're doing your fantasy leagues with your friends or whoever it may be, please hop on in. And although also if you watch this video, you can get some great insight on who you can take and who's made the team and who isn't, who's in the rotation and who's not. Definitely helps out as you kind of approach that season. A lot of information has comes through with baseball, MLB especially. A lot of injuries happen in the off season. Some of those players are back to normal and they're ready to be back, but their ADP has fallen, so they've fallen in the draft because people are worried about their injuries. But a lot of them, like Corbin Carroll, for example, or Francisco Lindor, are already back and batting and already in their lineups for the spring training. So not even a big deal, and definitely great value if you people are still kind of scared off of those injuries. So with that said, let's get back into this draft here. I am on live here, so if you have any questions, please hop on in. Feel free to ask, and we can kind of go from there. And if you could like and subscribe to the channel, just like the video, whatever it may be, I hope you find this insightful. This will be the last video for MLB for the 2026 season, and I will then progress into the NFL season and start doing what I do best, and that's fantasy football, best ball for that, and also as well as daily fantasy as the football season approaches. But we still have some time. We still have about 8 months away from daily fantasy. Let's not talk about the football season, but we can talk about best ball for sure for the NFL season as we get closer to that. So let's get started here. I kind of had to quickly hop onto this stream just because the draft started really quick and I wasn't really expecting that. So let me get set up here, and then we'll definitely be hopefully right for our second pick. And let's add some music here. You can't just hear your dad just kill it by just talking. So let's add a little bit of music, not too loud here. And yeah, let's get back into this draft. It's going by quick, so let's kind of quickly go through the first round. This is kind of like your last board as to where people are going now, based on, like I said, injuries, or based on their place in the rotation, based on their batting order, based on where they're looking to go. So you got Judge, you got Ohtani, Soto, Acuna, and those have been your top four throughout the draft season. I don't think anything's changed since then. Usually it's Ohtani going first, then Judge, then Soto, then Acuna, but that's been kind of consistent throughout the draft season. Witt and Schwarber kind of intermixing, and now Corbin Carroll's kind of coming back into the top of the first half of the first round. He kind of had fallen. I got some drafts with him in the second round, so I'm happy with those. Definitely got some value out of his injury. He looks to be back. Everything's back to normal with that. But let's kind of look back here, and I'm gonna change it up here. Let's go with Brent Rooker. Let's take advantage of that one last season that the A's have in Sacramento in a minor league field. Obviously next year they're going to Vegas. They'll have a better field, like a proper field, MLB field. But let's take advantage of the fact that they're still playing in a minor league field, and let's take advantage of the A's. I'm trying to build an A stack, so we'll see how that goes. Obviously there's players you can get later on, Soderstrom, Langeliers, Jacob Wilson. So some players that you can get later on to kind of make that A stack and take advantage of them playing and still in a minor league field. So now I'm going to choose between Gunnar Henderson and Pete Alonso. I don't think you can go wrong either way. Gunner's done well, but let's go with the safe bet of Pete Alonso. So I'll take him here in my third pick. So far right now we have Shohei Ohtani, Brent Rooker as our outfielders, and then we have Pete Alonso as our first infielder pick. I haven't taken the pitchers. I haven't really taken the pitchers, to be honest. First 3 rounds, I don't know. Pitchers really scare me. Just the, matter of the injuries, the matter of just kind of not having to. Obviously, you can't go wrong with Skubal and Skeens. You know what you're gonna get. But at the same time, the injury risk sometimes for me is really high. So I like to kind of grab my first few pitchers in the 4th or 5th round, starting with usually I don't mind Hunter Brown. I like Chris Sale. Jesus Luzardo is pretty good. But at the same time, I can wait. I've been waiting till, to be honest, Trevor Rogers, who kind of goes around the pick 100. So he's now a 96 ADP. I don't mind him. Then you got a good mix of players right here. Nathan Eovaldi, Yuri Perez, who I really like, Zach Wheeler, obviously coming back from that injury, thoracic outlet syndrome, and so he's coming back from shoulder injury, but he is dominant if he's healthy, and that's a big if. So there's no guarantee that Wheeler's can go back to what he was doing previously, but at the same time, he is pitching right now, so he is pitching simulated games. Hopefully he can get back ramped up and be back by, they're saying, April, May. So he is a risk, but if you take 2 or 3 good pitchers to start off with and grab Zach Wheeler as your 3rd or 4th and just hope that he can come back and give you those strong innings later in the fantasy season, then he's definitely a pick that you can definitely take around pick 111 there. But like I was saying, there's a big cluster of pitchers that are available later on in the draft, pick 120. You got Ranger Suarez, you got Sandy Alcantara, you got Edwin Cabrera, Michael King. So there's quite a few pitchers you can get later on if you don't want to go pitcher heavy the first few rounds, and let's load up on the batters and be able to take advantage of those. So a lot of people like to take the pitchers, and that's fine with me. But at the same time, like I said, I like to take the batters. And in this draft, as you can see, there's a couple of guys here at the end here who are going pitcher heavy with their first 2 pitchers out of the first 3 rounds. So a little bit risky. Obviously, Skubal and Sanchez, you're getting elite arms and, a minimum 20 points for fantasy. But like I said, you missed out on a lot of the great batters, the bats as well in the first by taking them early. So you can make up that production, I think, with the pitcher, just because if they have a good week, they're able to pitch after 5 days rest. You can get 2 starts out of them, and they have 2 good starts. They're pretty equal to Sanchez and Skubal in a sense, maybe give or take a few points here and there, but you can kind of get that same kind of range of points with 2 good starts from a pitcher later on. So obviously a little bit consistent. Sanchez and Skubal will be a little bit more consistent than those pitchers you take later on. But like I said, you're kind of giving up a lot of value for the bats by not by taking a pitcher in those first few rounds. So as you can see, like I was saying here, a lot of outfielders: Schwarber, Carroll, Rodriguez, Tatis, Kyle Tucker, then Ramirez and Ellie De La Cruz. Then he went Skeens and Skubal. And then he takes Sanchez and Sales. So the pitchers are going fast, but that's okay. I'm willing to hold off and see what I can build for my team here. So ideally, I'd like to grab Freddie Freeman and maybe a Taylor Ward to kind of build a light stack so far. So I'm hoping that these players are able to come around. If the next guy is able to take Hunter Brown, I have my boys lined up, and that works out well. So let's take Freddie Freeman to go with my Shohei Ohtani. Freddie Freeman is obviously they say they're going to be batting in the 4 spot, so batting cleanup this year. So potentially a lot more RBIs. I think he was going 3rd or 2nd last year. Not totally sure, but so definitely somebody that I would want if you're making a Dodger stack. So O'Neal Cruz goes. Very polarizing. O'Neal Cruz. He's having a great spring training, so that's definitely a plus. But kind of know what you're going to get. You're not going to get a lot of hits in terms of his batting average is going to be pretty low, but you get kind of a little bit. But there's so much untapped potential with O'Neal Cruz that if he kind of puts it together, there's definitely an opportunity for him to kind of step into becoming an elite fantasy player. So, But let's go with Taylor Ward. I'll talk about that after. So yeah, O'Neill Cruz, definitely somebody that it's like, you know, really rare to kind of be able to have that potential, but scary too. You might not get that, might not get the strong value that you want out of the 4th round. But like I said, if he puts it together, has one of those great seasons, he can definitely move up into the 1st or 2nd round conversation next year as you get into the fantasy draft. So Teoscar Hernandez goes. So let's look at our team right here. I went with Freddie Freeman, and then I took Taylor Ward. So very fortunately, I'm able to kind of build a slight Dodgers and Baltimore Orioles stack here. I've got Taylor Ward to kind of go with my Pete Alonso, and then I got Freddie Freeman to go with my Shohei Ohtani. So liking that start so far. Very happy with that. And let's take a quick look at the most recent projected lineup. So you got Taylor Ward most likely batting cleanup right now, batting on the 4th spot, and then Pete Alonso going on the 3rd spot. So that works out pretty well. Gunnar Henderson is obviously gone, but Ali Rushman is available later in the draft. So if I want to grab another Baltimore Oriole, I can probably grab him and then get the 2, 3, 4, which is not bad. Then you also have Tyler O'Neill and Colton Cowser that go late in the draft as well. And let's not forget Jackson Holliday broke his hamate bone. He's been out, so when he comes back, he's also obviously another Baltimore Oriole you can grab later on as your 6th infielder, 7th infielder. So definitely some potential with all the Baltimore Orioles stacks. Because usually Pete Alonso, Gunnar, and Taylor Ward go early, but then you have potential players at the end that you can take to kind of make that stack as well. And I was talking about the Dodgers, so let's see what the Dodgers are doing. Yes, look, Freddie Freeman looks like he's going to be going batting on the 4th spot. You got Shohei batting leadoff, then Kyle Tucker, then Mookie Betts, then Will Smith and Teoscar going 5th and 6th, and Max Muncy going number 7. So, man, that's a crazy lineup. Like, holy shit. Like, that is loaded beyond belief. But yeah, like, try to get pieces of the Dodgers because you always know they're going to put up runs. They're going to put up, score runs. I mean, so it's always a good chance to get, kind of get Will Smith later in the draft. So I might target Will Smith as well as Max Muncy because they're available as well as my 5th or 6th infielders. So let's take a look at the draft board and see if there's any major surprises. Nothing so far. Lindor goes 43, so obviously he's been dealing with that hamate bone injury. He was going, the 2nd or 3rd turn before that injury. So then he's been a major producer in fantasy. So that's a big value as well as players but people are starting to come around now that Lindor is available. So his ADP is rising again. But it probably won't get to that by the end of this week. It probably won't get up to where it should be by 24, 23. But still a really good value later in the draft. Rosarena, Turner, Jackson Merrill, Matt Olson, Springer, Wood, Taylor Ward, Hernandez, Yelich, Bichette, Perdomo. Yeah, so no major surprises. Jack Caglione, obviously, his ADP has probably risen the most from the beginning of spring training till now. So he's definitely somebody that's been rising through the ranks. But let's take a quick look at where I'm going to go next. What's going on with Tyler Soderstrom today? Okay, so I'm going to be looking at, let's see here. Okay, let's take Brandon Nimmo. Is he boring? Yes, definitely boring. But he's batting in a really good Texas Rangers lineup, batting leadoff. So I always like taking the batters leadoff because they obviously, in a sense, will get more. But Tyler Soderstrom grows, so that's a big miss on my part. Should have probably taken him before I took Nimmo, but I was kind of worried. But the guy sniped me, so it is what it is. Let's go with the pitcher now. There's some good ones out here. Obviously Logan Gilbert. There's Jesus Luzardo. Let's take Luzardo. I'm gonna take Jesus Luzardo. I'm really in between Logan Gilbert, DeGrom, or Luzardo. You can't go wrong with either one. Besides Luzardo, DeGrom and Gilbert dealt with some injuries last year, so maybe their ADP's fallen because of that. So, yeah, I think either way, you can't go wrong. You have 3 elite pitchers that you can kind of go after there in that bucket. So definitely, a good chance, a good way to kind of pick up a pitcher in the 7th round. You get a good arm in Jesus Luzardo. And you can kind of look at building a Phillies stack in a sense. Grab a Zach Wheeler. Obviously, a little bit of risk there, but Aaron Nola is still going pretty late and coming off a season which is obviously not Aaron Nola's normal course of fantasy season. So that's definitely some value you can pick up if you definitely think that he's going to have a season that comes back to being elite, or not elite, but semi-elite, back to being normal in terms of gives you 1,000 fantasy points, which is good enough. Proper starts, can go deep into the game. Then he's definitely a great pick that you can take later in the drafts because his ADP is about 160 or 170. So you can definitely pick him up as your 5th or 6th pitcher. So I definitely like to be able to take pitchers from the same team just to kind of get those multiple starts later in the fantasy in the fantasy season when you need the playoffs if you get into best ball. So having those double starts, potentially getting 2 starts in a week by one pitcher and then getting another 2 starts from another, just kind of helps build a better base for your pitching scores as you get into the playoffs. Because like in the playoffs, anything you have to finish first out of like 10 or 12 in this. I think it's 12 in this pod. So you got to be able to put up a good score. So it's important to kind of get as many starts as you can from your pitcher because they're the highest scoring. So you want to be able to maximize that as well. So if you are watching this after the fact, after this live, please leave a comment. If you could like it, that'd be great. If you could subscribe, that'd be even better. Like I said, if you are into football and you're just kind of dabbling into baseball, kind of like I have in the past couple of years, I've just always been a football fan, but just dabbling into best ball MLB because I've kind of shared how easy it is to be able to just draft now and leave the team and not have to worry about it all summer, and then kind of catch up to it when you kind of look at it at the end of August. To see how your teams did. But if you're into football, please like and subscribe, and I will be doing a lot of NFL drafts now as we get closer to the end of the baseball season and we get closer to the draft, because you have your pre-draft best ball teams on Draftkings and Underdog. So I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of those and get prepared for the draft, which obviously comes with a lot of surprises and sometimes can turn your whole team upside down based on the direction that or players that get drafted by a team. Somebody certainly that you thought was looking good, a la Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr., a couple of years ago, don't always work out. So you got to be able to understand what your team is probably looking at in the draft to be able to understand where players that have kind of gone on free agency right now fit into that scheme. So man, this draft's going pretty fast here, so I'm going to make sure I get Langeliers. I can't risk getting sniped again, especially this player after me who has Judge, Caminero, Langford, Cruz, Wu, Soderstrom, and Harris. So definitely not going to be able to sit back and hope that Langeliers fall. So I'll take Langeliers here, and I'll probably take Trevor Rogers as my... Yeah, so let's take Langeliers here. Kind of go with my Rooker. So I have a mini stack with 3 teams right now, which I'm liking so far. So Langeliers comes to us. And I think I'll kind of go pitcher here. Like I said, I have a couple that I really like. I like Bradish. The only thing that I worry about with Bradish is the number of innings he'll be throwing this year. Baltimore has come out and said that they're going to be watching his innings this year. So let's go with Trevor Rogers. The ace so far. He's going to be starting opening day, so I think he's going to be able to. And Baltimore is a good team as well, so I think he had a great comeback from Tommy John, as you can see. Was pretty dominant when he came back. Had some great starts, so definitely Trevor Rogers is somebody that you can target as your first. Like I've been targeting him as my first pitcher in a couple of drafts. Like I said, he's going so late in the draft, so you can load up on the bats and then take pitchers later on and kind of see how that works out. But you always want to make sure that you kind of load up on the outfielders and maybe about 2 to 3 infielders as well. But so that way that if you do wait for pitchers until in this case, the 10th round, it's important to make sure that you are very comfortable with the bats that you have, and you can just add a couple of infielders and outfielders at the end of the draft. That'll just kind of help supplement maybe some rookies that you hope that maybe take off or kind of help in the second half of the fantasy season, or but some injury concerns or some just individuals have been forgotten. So one of those players, for example, I really like later in the drafts are, like I've talked about in the past, are Ivan Herrera, Brendan Donovan, and Willie Castro. Willie Castro is just a season removed from a really good season that he had. I think it was with the Twins. I forget now, but now he's in the Rockies. Obviously, playing at home is an advantage because of Coors Field. But Willie Castro, if he's now he's back, he's playing. Last year he was kind of in between two teams, so this year he's kind of good in terms of just being at Colorado, and if he can put together a really good season. Like I said, obviously the home field, the home park plays a factor, but Willie Castro just offers a lot of stats when it comes to stolen bases, runs and hits. So I think Willie Castro is really a player that, if he can come back to being the Willie Castro from a year ago, is definitely a great value as your sixth outfielder. So yeah, a lot of players in the end of the draft. It is one of those things that it's a gamble, but it could pay off if you were able to kind of get the right one. So let's take a quick look at the draft here. Since I drafted Trevor Rogers, Dalen Lilly, and I'm not the greatest at pronouncing names, so forgive me if I messed that up and you don't appreciate that, but I apologize in advance. Bradish goes and Zach Wheeler goes, so I missed out on the Zach Wheeler, hoping that he maybe might have dropped, but he didn't. Trent Grisham, Joe Ryan, Nathan Eovaldi, Ben Rice, Stephen Kwan, Adolis Garcia, and Kerry Carpenter goes, and then Cam Schittler, and then Hunter Goodman. So let's see some potential. Oh man, Andy Paez, if he was able to fall, that would be something, but I don't think he's going to. So let's take up a couple of players I could probably get. So I have Baltimore. So I'm gonna look for a pitcher here. Obviously, there's a couple of good ones here. You got Mackenzie Gore, obviously coming over from the Nationals to the Texas Rangers. There's a potential there that he was an all-star in the first half of the season. Everyone kind of forgets. He fizzled in the second half of the fantasy season, but look at this. He was pretty dominant in the first half and got an all-star nod out of it. So definitely somebody that maybe has a change of scenery, has gone to a better team, can put together a better season. That would be something. He's going to a bullpen that's loaded with some great arms, so he won't have the pressure of being the guy, and also at the same time not having a lot of help behind you. That kind of sucks too when you're in the Nationals. So maybe Mackenzie Gore is a good comeback story. Something I've been targeting my drafts. I was targeting him last year, and then, like I said, that second half fizzle really killed it. But like I said, last year I was taking him my fifth or sixth pitcher, and he kind of worked out. So I was able to get some good points off of him there. So okay, well, that worked out really well. Let's take Andy Paez to kind of get more Dodgers in my team. Then I'm going to have to probably take another pitcher, or should I take Jacob Wilson? Just want to see what I can probably get later on. Doesn't matter. Jacob Wilson goes, so that's okay. That worked out for me. I will then now look at Mackenzie Gore or Sandy Alcantara. Oh, that's a good one. For this one, let's go to Sandy Alcantara. I think don't have many shares of Alcantara, so let's go with him. And so the story with Sandy Alcantara was that he came back from Tommy John surgery, and I remember I drafted him last year, hoping that I'd get a rejuvenated or a new. I was going to say renovated, but a renovated Sandy Alcantara. And man, was it very hard to swallow. As you can see, started off pretty bad, not doing anything, and then it just kind of clicked in August, and you can see how dominant he was finishing off the season. So what I'm thinking is obviously take a little time for him to ramp up, and now he's ramped up. He's almost a year and a half, 2 years removed from Tommy John surgery. So if I can get Sandy Alcantara from August 15th on into this season, then I'm looking pretty good as my third pitcher as well. So as you can see, 7 innings deep, good Ks as well, good K rate. And like I said, just kind of more dominant as he got a little bit more comfortable as the season went on. So let's just hope that maybe that was just kind of coming back from Tommy John surgery, maybe a mental aspect of coming back from an injury. Playing for the Marlins doesn't help either. You're playing for a team that's really shitty and you're not getting a lot of run support. So, but I'm hoping that their team also, with the changes, they've got some good bats in there. Stowers, Jacob Marcy, Augustin Ramirez. They got some good bats in the lineup now. So I'm hoping that Miami's able to kind of turn the corner. They got 2 studs in Alcantara and Yuri Perez as their pitchers. So, but I'm hoping for Alcantara, like the second half of Alcantara, that would be the summer version of Alcantara, the renovated version, I guess, the summer renovated version of Sandy Alcantara would really help. So I think that that's definitely somebody that you can target. I kind of maybe has him my third pitcher, so that's a little bit risky, but I would definitely like them as my fourth pitcher. I just couldn't pass up the value of Andy Pages as a pick because of my Dodgers exposure and on this team. So I had to take Andy Pages there, but maybe if I had taken 2, I would have probably taken Alcantara and Gawd back to back, just to be able to kind of have those 2 pitchers that I'm really high on coming into the season. So let's take a quick look at my team so far. Our pitchers right now are Jesus Luzardo, Trevor Rogers, and Sandy Alcantara. Our infielders right now are Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, and Shea Langeliers. And our outfielders, we have 5 of them: Shohei Ohtani, Brent Rooker, Taylor Ward, Brandon Nimmo, and Andy Pages. So we're good on outfielders. I think I'll just wait till the end of the draft to grab one like a Willie Castro. Having going heavy on Shohei and having Taylor Ward and Brent Rooker kind of gives me that flexibility to kind of add a 6th, like a wild card, to be able to kind of maybe take advantage of a value, because I know I have some strong outfielders, so I can maybe take a chance and take a late pick later in the draft for an outfielder, maybe a lottery pick, and see if I can kind of cash out on that. Well, we're going to come up here pretty quick here. This draft is moving pretty fast. Connor Griffin still available. How is everyone knowing? Not anyone high on Connor Griffin. This guy is a talk of the town, man. This guy, apparently the rookie extraordinaire, just so much hype around him this season. So it's going to be interesting to see where he kind of falls in terms of this season, how he does. But yeah, everything that they say about him is that he's the next big thing coming. Do I dare take him just for the upside? I don't know. I think I have to take Will Smith though, just to make more Dodgers in my lineup. So Connor Griffin goes, so it makes it a little bit easier for me. Yeah, I'm going to take Will Smith here just to get more Dodgers in my lineup. So I think I'm good with the capping at 4. I think I'll probably skip out on Max Muncy. You don't want to take too many as well, because then you're kind of like, like I said, when fantasy baseball season comes up, if we get into some lineups or games, they don't play enough games, then we're kind of stuck there. But I do like Pepio and I like Chris Bubich, so I'm okay with going with either one of them as my 4th pitcher. So Chandler Simpson goes. So Pepio or Kris Bubic, who was definitely had a good season last year, then kind of got injured, then kind of slowed down. Let's go with Ryan Pepio. Like I said, I really like Kris Bubic. I like Pepio as well. So last year they were playing in they weren't playing in Tropicana, which is a pitcher-friendly park. So they were playing in the minor league field. But this, unlike the A's, they're actually going back to Tropicana, which is, like I said, a pitcher-friendly park. So Pepio did really well last year playing in a minor league field. As you can see, had a pretty good season, not too bad, 11 wins, 12 losses, but 167 Ks and about 166 innings or 167 innings, so K rate's okay, 15.8 points per game. But now if he goes into a better park for pitchers, I think definitely those numbers can kind of go up. So let's take Pepio as my fourth pitcher and just hope that the going back to a Tropicana will help his numbers overall as well. I'm going to check to see what Connor Griffin, what's going on with him. Pretty sure he made the lineup. Okay, so yeah, he got shipped back to minor league after camp, so that's probably kind of being a little bit of the deflating of his stock. That explains it all. But he's one of those players that obviously gets called up for any reason. There's an injury and he gets called up and he comes in the second half of the season and goes on a run. That's definitely a great value. So that's why a rookie, I don't think you should always just look at it because they get shipped back to the minors as a negative thing. If you believe in the talent, if you believe in that rookie yourself, you can expect them to obviously come back because they're one injury away, really, just to being able to come back into the lineup. And like I said, if they make an impression, there's a lot of players of that. That's what happened. It's like Sal Stewart last year did that. Jonathan Aranda, in a sense, did that as well. So there's players that get opportunity and young guys, and they definitely can capitalize. So Connor Griffin, based on his pedigree, based on what the expectations are for him and his ability to hit homers and steals, if he gets called up and he plays half a season, man, he could be a league winner. So I don't think you should really just let him fall that far. If he's there in the draft, take him. Like I said, if you have a good base of 3 or 4 infielders, then you grab him as your 5th or 6th infielder. For best ball, I don't think that hurts, man, at all. So we're coming back up here again. I think I'm going to take Aaron Nola this time to kind of get some more, like I was saying, get the Phillies exposure for my pitchers, get 2 Phillies pitchers. That kind of helps. So I'll take Aaron Nola as one of them. And then I will look at who I can take. I like TJ Friedl. I like William Contreras. I like Sedan Rafaela as well. So yeah, a few picks I could probably take, but I'll make sure I take Aaron Nola as well. Greg Baldwin I like as well. So Sedan Rafaela goes. I think let's take an infielder. Let's take William Contreras if he falls here. Just not sure if I should take Aaron Nola right now. Because of the number of pitchers, I'm just going to take Aaron Nola just to be on the safe side. Because this guy might take him. I don't really know what he's going to do. So he takes Big Snell, so that works out. So now I'm in a little bit of a dilemma. Do I take TJ Friedl? Do I take William Contreras? Let's take William Contreras. I like the situation that he's landed himself in. He's going from St. Louis to Boston. And apparently he's batting cleanup, which doesn't hurt at all because we're really high on guys like Roman Anthony and Jarren Duran. So he's batting cleanup, batting him in the 4th spot. So there's a chance that he can get a lot of RBIs, runs, and then also a lot of runs. So definitely somebody I like to target in my drafts, and it happens that he worked out and he landed it here in my lap, and he is right now my 5th infielder. So I am 5s across the board. I have 5 pitchers, 5 infielders, and 5 outfielders. So we'll kind of go through our team again one more time. Our pitchers are Jesus Luzardo, Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara. Then we have Ryan Pepio and Aaron Nola. And our infielders are Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman, Shea Langeliers, Will Smith, and William Contreras. Then our outfielders are Shohei Ohtani, Brent Rooker, Taylor Ward, Andy Pages, and Brandon Nimmo. So I like the team so far. I like my Dodgers exposure. I'm able to kind of get 4 bats in from the Dodgers lineup, which really helps. I think, it doesn't hurt to have one of the top have exposure to one of the top lineups in baseball. But I think Baltimore is right up there along with the Mets and along with the A's, just because the A's are playing in a minor league field at home. So you're going to get about 80 games in a minor league field. And you have a really good lineup with Nick Kurtz, Shane Langeliers, Brandon Rooker, Soderstrom, and then you got Jacob Wilson. So the top half of their lineup is pretty good. Like I said, and the ballpark obviously plays a big factor into that. So I like that one there. But definitely, if you're drafting, let me throw some sleepers out right now. I've talked about in the past videos, but if you haven't watched them, no worries. I will let you know who I like. I like Shea Langeliers. I like Michael Busch quite a bit. I think he kind of broke out last year. There's some risk for a platoon this year, but I think that's kind of been squashed. I think he's going to be batting every day. So I definitely think that Michael Busch is somebody you should be targeting as you come around for your infielders, because he's going pretty late, like 100, and I think the Cubs are a good stack. Obviously, Seiya Suzuki got injured during the World Baseball Classic. Looks like it's only a strain, a PCL, I believe. So he looks like he'll be back. He might miss opening day, so he's not going to be, might miss a couple of weeks to start the season off as he gets ramped up. But I think the Cubs are a sneaky good lineup. You got him, you got Happ, you got Bush, you got Bregman now. You got obviously Pecro, Armstrong. So you got a good lineup so far, obviously in the top half. So definitely somebody that you can definitely look at for as a sleeper. And like I said before, everything for his rates have gone up. Barrel rates have gone, contact, everything, hard hit, everything rates have gone up in the last couple of years. So definitely look at Michael Busch. I have him in a lot of drafts. I wasn't able to get him this one because I kind of took Shea Langeliers, and I think Busch had already gone, but definitely somebody that you can look at for your drafts. So we are coming back around here again. So I'm going to go with Colton Cowser. Man, I had a lot of him last year, and he really sucked. Well, it wasn't too bad, like 6.7 point, but it wasn't great. He kind of came on later in the season. The first half of the season was really painful. But like I said, I'm gonna get more exposure to the Orioles. So that kind of helps my ability to be able to kind of get some more of him to kind of go with my Pete Alonso and Taylor Ward. Obviously, I think he's gonna be batting lower in the order though, so. Let's see where he's slotted in right now. So he's slotted in the 8th spot. Not that greatest spot right now when you look at a stack. But maybe if he's able to come back and have a season, kind of stay, not get injured, we're looking at a good pick there. And I'm going to go with my favorite pick this year of the fantasy baseball season, and that's Brendan Donovan. Man, I have too much Brendan Donovan. And a simple thing. He's batting leadoff in the Mariners lineup. Okay, he's batting, and then it goes. Let me just read this off for you, so you just know. Brendan Donovan, then Julio Rodriguez, then Cal Riley, then Josh Naylor, then Randy Rosarena. So hey, that's not a bad thing. Okay, he's really good at making contact, so he'll get on base. Then you have 4 studs behind you that can get you batted in. And so the runs, the hits are all there. And he's got some little bit of power, not too much. But at the same time, like I said, batting leadoff for the Mariners, never a bad thing. You saw Suarez, obviously, Suarez had a lot more power, but he was in that lineup. And you saw the numbers he put up last year in the Mariners and being the top half of the Mariners lineup with those 4 guys. So definitely somebody I love targeting. I would recommend that. I will guarantee it that he's going to be worth his ADP, because look at that, 206. He's going 206. He's going as your 5th or 6th infielder. You can't go wrong, but you're coming off, you get a piece of that loaded lineup, and he's batting leadoff. Like, gotta take him in every draft, and I've been doing that. I just hope now that, knock on wood, he doesn't get injured and we're okay on that. But he's part of this lineup that's just gonna be like, we're 1 win away from a World Series. So I definitely going to go back to the Mariners and go back to Donovan, even if I don't have any exposure to any of the other Mariners. I do like to take him, Josh Naylor. I do like to take some, if I can get Julio, I usually like to target Josh Naylor and Brendan Donovan to kind of create that Seattle stack. But yeah, definitely somebody you should be targeting, and I promise you he will be good, barring injury. If something happens with injury, then I'm sorry, that's not, it's something I can control, but I'm guaranteeing he's going to have a great season this year, especially for this late in the draft. And now we have to get to the point where we got to take a couple of pitchers, and there are a couple of good ones I like down here. One of my favorite ones are, where is he? Please don't tell me he already got taken, and maybe he already got traded. Nope, Braxton Ashcraft. I definitely love some just exposure to him. He had a great spring training. He's going to be in the rotation. And I think this is the year you're going to be talking about Braxton Ashcraft. Going to hear a lot about him. So definitely like targeting him as one of my pitchers. And let's see who else we can look at. This Logan Henderson. I think he's, oh no, he's gone down. Jose Soriano, sorry. Yeah, one of those picks. He plays for the Angels. He is what he is. A little bit of risk there. Cade Cavalli, I think he's going to take the ball on opening day. Yeah, it's kind of like maybe a Mackenzie Gore. Maybe he has a Mackenzie Gore season. Not a big fan of him. This guy, Matthew Liberatore, he kind of, he really, like, really, I don't know the word for it, in between, like I would say. I definitely can see the potential there, but I don't know, just playing for the Cardinals, man. I'm playing for these teams that suck. I just don't understand, like, how much, upside there is. Like, I know I took Sandy Alcantara. I really think the Marlins are up a little bit on the, I think they'll be better this year. But definitely somebody that worries me, to be honest. So, Jacob Lopez is another guy that kind of, like, man, if they were like, this is the good thing about the A's, like, bats, they're great because they're in the minor league field, but the pitchers you kind of worry about because of the way they might get hit, because the visiting team is also playing in a minor league field and they're batting, and so you never know. But I think definitely next year Jacob Lopez will be a good pick. So let's take Braxton Ashcraft as my 6th pitcher. And we're going to grab another one right now as well. One I do like is Ronaldo Lopez. But if you want to take some, man. So I couldn't decide. I'm sorry. I decided to take another Dodger. I taken Max Muncy. I am loaded up on the Dodgers. I guess it's not a bad thing. If you load up on one of the best bats or the batting lineups in the MLB, I don't think that hurts. I do have a lot of exposure now. I have 5 Dodger bats. I just couldn't decide on the pitcher. I'm gonna take a 7th pitcher, but I just can't decide on who. So let's take a look again. Gives me some time to think. Okay, so let's kind of like queue up our queue here. So Jose Soriano, Cade Cavalli, Ryan Weathers. It's like that. I don't know. There's ways I can see Weathers getting, if he doesn't have a good start to the season, being in the rotation, because you have Garrett Cole and you have Carlos Rodon coming back. So it's really like if he has a good start, then he's fine. But if he doesn't, then it could be kind of a bit of trouble there. Brian Bello too kind of scares me. Jacob Lopez, man, I don't know. We'll see. Brady Singer. What's the news on him? Christian Javier came back late in the season from Tommy John, I believe. That's what it was. Sorry, bear with me as I'm just taking a look at who I can possibly take. I know it shouldn't be this hard. I've taken a lot of these players before, but I think I'm going to go with Ronaldo Lopez, but I just want to see if I can go with anybody else. But I guess it is what it is. Let's take Ronaldo Lopez. Not the most exciting name, but like if you want to take a quick look at other players that are down here, Mike Burrows, I didn't get enough of him. I was just taking a look at him right now. He just got drafted, so no, sorry, he didn't get drafted. Let's take a quick look at some players. Joe Musgrove, the steam's kind of come down on him, just because he might not be ready for opening day. Not that he's going to start opening day, but it's just not going to be ready for the opening start of the season. So a little bit of risk of him. Mike Burrows, yeah, that's a good. Let's see what we have like for, if we look at Fangraphs for roster resource. Let's take a look at what the expectation is for him. So they have him slotted in about 137 projected innings. Yeah, so Christian Javier is in 148. That's somebody haven't been looking at quite a bit. So I gotta try to take a look at some of the Houston pitchers. You got him, and you got Christian Javier right here as well. Maybe similar to an Alcantara, didn't come back strong, but pretty decent the years before, until he did get injured. I remember a few years ago the high K rate, was doing pretty well, so potentially could be back. He only threw about 5 innings in spring training, and but was pretty good. His ERA was 1.1.592 in 5 innings, so not bad. So somebody that you can definitely look at. I don't think it's out of the question where he can have a good season. So definitely somebody to look out for. If we look at projections from ATC here, and trying to find some pitchers that we kind of target later in the drafts. I maybe haven't talked about that enough. So I'm trying to see if I can find anybody that we can maybe look at later in the draft here. So Robbie Ray is another one. Sorry, Robbie Ray is one of my favorites as well. I really like him. I think there's a good potential for him to have a good season. Just kind of carry over from what he had last year. I think he had a pretty good season for last year after coming back from Tommy John, having his full season last year. Very underrated, I think, Robbie Ray, the way he's going so late in the draft. So I think somebody that you can definitely target and be comfortable with as your third or fourth pitcher, Robbie Ray. Yeah, don't sleep on him. Maybe a Kyle Harrison. I probably haven't been looking at him enough. Just not sure how many starts he'll have this year, but somebody to definitely look at there. I like Reynaldo Lopez. I don't think you can go wrong with him. It's just I feel like I have a lot of him, so maybe try to see if I can take some upside on a pitcher, trying to capture, strike some gold with a pitcher later in the draft. I think Mike Burrows and Christian Javier, I think definitely you should be looking at the Houston Astros lineup. They have Hunter Brown, they have the new pitcher from Japan, Imai, and then you have him and Burrows, Javier and Burrows as their third and fourth. So definitely guys that maybe have kind of gone under the radar this year, but spring training they've been pretty good. So definitely 2 guys that you can kind of look at. You're not going to get many innings out of them, but like I said, pretty consistent, and looks like they're going to be a major part of that Houston Astros rotation. So somebody that you can definitely go after. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to take some more looks and see if I can find anybody else. Brady Singer, not too exciting. Jose Soriano, like I was talking about before, really hot and cold. Drew Rasmussen, I similar to Pepio, he's going back to Tropicana field, and he was a little bit, his workload was monitored last year, so I think the restrictions are off, so he should be good to go. So if he's pitching well throughout the game, he should be able to stay in there longer. So definitely somebody that you can also look at later in the drafts. Merrill Kelly as well. His draft stock slipped quite a bit because of the injury through in spring training. So he's coming back. He should be back. I think he's already pitching. So his ramp up should be in the next couple of weeks. He's going to miss the opening day, but he should be coming back, and you can get him late in the drafts as well. Eduardo Rodriguez for Arizona as well. As you saw what he did in the World Baseball Classic, was able to almost shut out Team USA. So he's somebody that you can definitely look at along with Dustin May, who I think, obviously, when he was in the Dodgers, we were drafting him like crazy, just couldn't stay healthy. So now he's on St. Louis, again, one of those things where he's playing for a shitty team. But like I said, if he can put it together, like have decent starts, he's going to have the ability to start, obviously, on the Cardinals. It's just a matter of whether or not we can get pre-Dodgers or Dodgers Dustin May. That would be awesome. As you can see in this draft, he went last pick. So not a bad to take a flyer on a guy that's, I think, slotted in number 2 on the Cardinals lineup rotation as well. So somebody else that you can kind of target. But let's go through our team and we can kind of talk about it again. Let's call this team the Dodgers because we got Shohei Ohtani. We took Brent Rooker with our second pick in the second round. And then we got Pete Alonso, then Freddie Freeman to go with our Shohei Ohtani. So that was the first 2 Dodgers right there. Then I was able to grab Taylor Ward to kind of go with my Pete Alonso. So a couple of Dodgers and Orioles there, a mini stack there. Then we got Brandon Nimmo on the Rangers, batting leadoff, coming over from the Mets. If Seager and Langford are able to stay healthy, it's not bad batting leadoff and having those 2 guys come up behind you. I took my first pitcher, then Jesus Luzardo. My concern with Jesus is, yes, last year he was kind of hot and cold. Had a great start to the season and kind of fizzled out. Then so it's a really like you're not getting really consistent results, but he's batting, he's pitching for the Phillies. He's having a great spring training, so maybe puts it all together this year. A little bit more consistency will help, and if he's able to do that, then the sky's the limit for Jesus Luzardo. I was able to grab Shea Langeliers again to kind of go with my Brent Rooker. So now I have A's, Orioles, and a Dodgers stack, so I'm kind of happy with that. Trevor Rogers was my second pitcher I took in the 9th round, and then coming all the way around, I was able to grab some value with Andy Pages, another Dodgers bat, so that makes it 3 Dodgers. So I was able to kind of grab the value there. Ideally, I probably would have gone with Jacob Wilson. So I went with Pages because it's just, the value of having him drop almost 20 spots in ADP. Got to take him there. I took my third pitcher, Sandy Alcantara. I was between him and Mackenzie Gore. I took Alcantara just because I don't have much exposure to him in my other drafts. And I've kind of showed how in the second half or in August, and he was kind of turned it on and was pretty dominant, closing off the season, coming back from Tommy John. So the first half, the whole season, he was pretty shit. But I think maybe something clicked or something got better, or maybe the confidence came back. And then he finished off strong in August. And I think he's having a great spring training right now. So maybe if you can kind of carry that forward to this season, it's a win getting Alcantara this late in the draft. Then coming back, I took Will Smith as another infielder, part of a Dodgers again. So that's 4 Dodgers there. Just had to take him, best infielder there available at that point. And then I took Ryan Pepio as my other pitcher. My 5th pitcher, like I talked about before, they're going back to Tropicana, which is pitcher friendly. So I think Pepio's did pretty well last year in the minor league field. So I think Pepio is somebody that you can target late in the drafts that offers some good upside. He's still young, and I think as he's closer to getting to the ace. Him and Drew Rasmussen are pretty close. So I think, but Pepio is pretty good, and I think this is the year he takes that step up, gets into 180, 190 innings. And is able to kind of get up there, and definitely somebody that I think will be going a lot higher than drafts next year. Then coming all the way back around, I took Aaron Nola to kind of go with my Jesus Luzardo, so having 2 Philly pitchers to kind of maximize the ability to pay off in the fantasy playoffs if I make it there. Just having pitchers from the same team just helps with the number of starts and just to be able to capitalize on the pitcher points as we get into the fantasy playoffs. And then I was taking William Contreras. I definitely like his spot coming over from the Cardinals. Now can be batting cleanup so far. That's where they have projected as number 4 batter in that lineup. A great spot to be with Roman Anthony, obviously, and Jarren Duran, Trevor Story. So batting cleanup gives him a lot of good opportunities. And I think sometimes I just think the mindset of a player changes because they're able to go to a team that actually gives a shit. So I think sometimes with that, I think the little switch and having and competing and playing for something will hopefully help Contreras take that extra step this season. They came all the way back, and then I took Colton Cowser as my 6th outfielder, just to add some more Baltimore bats to my lineup. I definitely have something, I think, with the addition of Pete Alonso, and if they're able to stay healthy this year, I definitely think that's a team to kind of target along with the Mets and the Dodgers, obviously. Then I took my favorite pick of this whole draft season, Brendan Donovan. I've already talked about how he is batting leadoff in a loaded Mariners lineup, so definitely somebody that can get a lot of counting stats for you. And going solely in the draft, I guarantee he's probably one of the best picks, obviously in the last few rounds here, as you can see. Then I took my 6th pitcher. I took Braxton Ashcraft. Pretty high on him this year as he fits into the Pirates rotation. I think the team will be better this year. They have added some actual players and actual bats into the lineup, so I think that's going to be a big bonus. And then you got obviously Paul Skeens, and you got Bubba Chandler. Then you added Braxton Ashcraft. So I think he's somebody that gets kind of overlooked, but I think somebody that's good as your 6th or 7th pitcher. Then I took Max Muncy. He was just sitting there waiting to be picked. Wanted to join his buddies. Way past ADP, so I had to take Muncy. I couldn't leave him hanging. All his buddies are on the team, so I just decided to go with Muncy as my 7th infielder, and that makes it 5 Dodger bats in the lineup. So somebody that I'm really targeting, just because that ability to get the more Dodgers in my lineup doesn't hurt when you have the best batting lineup in the MLB on your team. So then we obviously had a little bit of a quandrum of who to take as our 7th pitcher. Kind of looking at all these guys here, as you can see, Liberatore, Soriano, Weathers, Lopez, Singer, Sasaki, not Sasaki, Mayer, Bassett, Severino. I don't know. He pitched great in the World Baseball Classic, but like I said, that playing in that park really scares me. Schwellenberg, what's the news on him? Schwellenbach. Nothing coming up. So I don't know about him. If he's able to come back and be Schwellenbach, then that's a great pick in the last round. I haven't been taking him. The injuries kind of scared me off. I just don't like taking injured pitchers to start the season. It just kind of don't have any good memories of them. Obviously, like a guy like Hunter Green, I was just kind of looking at him. It's supposed to be out till July. So his workload will be limited, obviously, as we can see. Coming back in July, it's hard to kind of sometimes get ramped up for the season. But if it's Hunter Green and he comes back strong and you have him as your 7th pitcher or 6th pitcher, and he's able to kind of go off in those important months of August, September, as you try to get into the playoffs or are in the playoffs, then that's a great pick. But a little bit too risky for me. Like I said, I can't take pitchers that are kind of going injured into the season. I just feel like it is very high risk, and you need all the points you can get from all the pitchers that you have on your roster. So I decided to go with Ronaldo Lopez, where I had him queued up. So it was either between him or Cade Cavalli. I just went with Lopez, and then Dustin May goes after him. So somebody like I was talking about, if you think it's Dodgers, Dustin May, and he's on the Cardinals, he's going to get all the opportunity. He doesn't have to deal with the Dodgers, yanking him around. That's definitely a pick that you can look at later in the draft. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you again for watching all my MLB videos. I appreciate the love. There was a lot of likes. There was a lot of views, which made me feel good. So I really appreciate that. It's funny because my handle is Fantasy Football Dad, but my most viewed videos are baseball videos. But fair, I didn't do many football videos last year, as I was late to the game. But this year I'm obviously starting ahead, so I'm hoping to get a lot of views in my football videos. But the baseball videos have been well appreciated, well received. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel if you have. Thank you again. And if you like this, you like the content, if you don't like the content, please leave a comment. Let me know what I can do better. I definitely welcome negative feedback, positive feedback, whatever it may be, to make myself have a good platform, be able to make these great videos for you to, if I can help you in any way in your drafts, that is something that I strive for. So something I really want to build off of as I go into football. So please subscribe, get all my football channels. trying to make it a little bit more comedic, trying to do some funny things. But definitely like want the engagement from others as I make these live streams, so I can kind of make it easier to answer some questions and get some laughs. But if you are interested in hopping on, let me know, where you're at, and message me on X. I'm on the Fantasy Football Dad, and I'd definitely like to see if I can add some people into this little, stratosphere of best ball, and I'd definitely like to take some more opinions and different viewpoints as to what you're thinking as the drafts come up. So with that, good luck on your MLB fantasy season. If you are playing daily fantasy, that's a grind, but good on you. If you're doing normal fantasy, I think with the ESPN or wherever it may be, with your buddies, your family, your coworkers, wherever it may be, good on you, man. That's too much work for me. Having to set lineups, I can't do that every week of the summer. But I love best ball for that reason. Just draft and forget. That works best for me. But if you are playing best ball, if you're playing whatever fantasy you are, good luck and all the best. And I will see you guys soon with some football videos coming up pretty soon. Here, take care and have a great night.